Hello guys, in this one we have very nice final label. It's $25,000 at WCOOP. We have legendary players like Fish 2013, Lena, Linus Love, and others. They are competing for 450,000 US dollars. Ninth and eighth place are not gonna get paid at all, so it's kind of in the money bubble over here. So let's dive into it. I'm very excited for this one. I'm particularly excited to see how Linus Love is playing, as that man is like the best cash player as much as I have heard. And I have only seen very few hands from Linus playing from Tritons. So over here, Fish opens under the gun. David Jones are calling. We do have 111 big blind stack, 124 and 27. So it's relatively deep stacked. So calling as David Jones probably okay. Opening tens obviously good. So this type of spots typically out of position players, it will have very small frequency c betting, because David Jones should be flatting here where like very high up. So the like out of position player, if you would up to even check your range, I think it wouldn't be like the end of the world in general. Ooh, David Jones coming in with a nice two bet over here. The problem with due betting is like it's not going to have that many value bets, so the due betting frequency should be quite low there. Also, as you're like kind of second and third in the chips, kind of fourth, you kind of want to avoid busting, because like, hey, there is 9 players remaining and you want to get in the money. Wow, aces against queens. Hard to see money not going in this scenario, blind versus blind. You can have a bubble, but aces against queens. Yeah. So as Linoslav, I think Linoslav can up to raise. I don't mind the limp either. You're probably supposed to be playing kind of limp heavy game here because of the shorter stacks. I'm imagining a 3-bet from Fish. What else can he read? Calling could be an option, but like probably not much of an option. So a small 3-bet. Linoslav is definitely in a spot where he wants to go for non-all-in 4-bet here. I think you want to jam here. Just go kind of small 4-bet, very polarized aces kings probably. And Fish will have a tough spot after that happens, because if the value range, if Fish thinks, the value range will be aces and kings only. It should be probably some ace king suited at least, maybe queens. You probably like kind of weird, because you kind of would love to have a blocker hand. It's very small though. Maybe it's even a call over here as a imposition player. Kind of weird spot. I think you get to fold. Just like either call or jam, I would imagine. Yeah, call makes the most sense in general. So I think Fish actually will get away over here, because Linoslav 3-bet 4-bet bluffing range should be very ace-x dense. So if Linoslav goes ahead and bets here, Fish doesn't really beat even like what bluffs can Linoslav even have. I guess some King X could take this line. Ooh, it's so small. Such a great bet sizing from Linus here. So you want to choose to bet very small because you hit this board very well. You should have a range advantage. I'm not sure Fish can get away, but like, would it shock me to see that you need to fold queens? Like, against some players, I would expect them to just bluff. If you expect the out of position player to just bluff offsuit a6 over there, or like some a6, so to speak, I do think you're kind of like, you don't really beat anything, right? This line is going for a jack, little cheeky jack. I don't mind continuing betting either, but like top set, it's like kind of hard. What can fish really have here? Do like you want to bet ace queen that didn't jam? Ace king probably gets it in Brie. Ace jack maybe. I think fish has too much value bets available on the turn. Can fish have a 10x? Like, does it rebet jack 10 or like what 10x? Like maybe some couple of offsuit like king 10, queen 10, maybe jack 10 oh. I'm gonna assume there will be a very small bet from Linus coming in here because it should be very ace extent still. And most of your ace is probably not going to qualify to even value bet. Hmm. Interesting sizing choice. I was thinking maybe even go smaller. It is like 25%, 20%. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about the size. It's like just go small. I don't think he wants to jam. I don't think he has much of a jamming range. And as in position player, as I said on the queens, I think queens probably it depends how you think Linus is going to raise four bet you. Based on that, if you think it's a6, I think you're supposed to be folding queens on the flop. If you think it's like still gonna have some different hands, which cash game players, especially with caliber of Linus, probably will have that. So probably need to go because the flop bet size was so tiny. Definitely very interesting hand already. So still need. So we have open with king 8 suited. Uh, on the button, folding king jack o. I think that's fine-ish. You could probably call as your range wants to play more. Like typically want to like in final levels you want to three bet there, because if it's in the money bubble, you do will see some type of a flatting range, and Legend then will have a lot of like wide, kind of wide range of hands I would expect. So I don't mind either way. Three bet, call, fold probably doesn't make much difference. So Linus opening up with king five suited over here. David Jones with 10-3 suited. It kind of like whatever. You're probably fine to defend. You're so deep over here. But it does come down to like how wide do you expect Linus to open. So Linus hits quite a good flop in sense of it going to connect very well with this one. Can see probably have quite a lot of C bets over here. But again, whenever you play a final tables like peak stack or peak stack, which this like kind of is, you kind of want to avoid like you gaining chips are not that as like relevant as you losing chips. So big stackers, big stack, you kind of want to like, hey, let's just check it down, see like keep moving forward, so to speak. Like you don't want to make a big changes, as you don't really have that many hands with the value that wants to. David Jones goes ahead and steals here with 7-4-0. I think big blind should defend here. You do have still ICM going on over here and stuff like that, but I would like to see a defend. He is the shortest stack, so he basically needs to gain chips. I think. Do you think the question is rather like, do we want to jam or just call? So this is kind of awkward now if David Jones going to bet from the big blind perspective. Very small bet. Wondering what like. I think you might have to defend this one. Basically, if you have these offsuit hands, you need to probably defend some of them, because even if it's ICM, you need to defend, so to speak, MDF. And you're gonna end up with a lot of offsuit Broadway, and like Jack 10, Queen 10 could make more sense to like you do have like middling cut shots a lot. I would imagine the Queen 10 is going to be indifferent there to defend. So Legenden. Is it Legenden? Legenden? I'm sorry, not good with pronouncing names. Anyways, he's opening up under the gun with King Jack O, and the big blind folds. That's a nice fold. Kind of bottom-ish, like you probably, but like not really. You don't really get to defend offsuited 9x against under the gun or like tight opening ranges, which under the gun, even with a big stack, you probably kind of tight dish there. Like it's not like you opening 30%. So at 20 big blinds, offsuit 9x are probably not going to be defense. Even like offsuit broadways, often not going to find in the defend there. So Linus Love opening with pocket sixes. And it's going to be at least one would expect it to be folded to the big blind. But who knows? Yep, sir. What are you thinking? Oh, yeah, they all let it go. Very nice. I think that's going to be correct play by everybody. So, ace spades, 11. Oh, folding king jack O. Ooh, that's interesting. Lane opening ace 4 suited, that's normal. King jack O, high check, low check, MP on a bubble? Actually, it could be a thing. On this type of a bubble, it's like, he's like the middling guy, and there is big stacks behind you. Yeah, actually, like, it could be that he needs to open about like 10%. Like if it's 10, like the idea is if it's 10%, it probably still okay-ish to open. I think I would have opened. I don't think it matters too much, but like it kind of waits, tries to wait out the shorter stacks to ladder. The low one goes for limp over here. Linus Love with 9-7 suited. I don't think you see that much like suited hands to check back unless he wants to really like jam. Like mostly your suited hands probably just checking back. Siloan, it's possible he's going to have a limp range, very little, like maybe some jams, maybe some raises, but like because of the bubble, he's probably supposed to be limping most of his range. Basically, you don't want, like, again, you're playing against bigger stack. There are shorter stacks. There is in the money bubble. You want to really be being like, hey, I don't want to lose chips. Like, it's very important not to lose chips. It's interesting on an ace-high board, like, how would small blind play over here with ace-x pre-flop? Because if, like, with 25 bigs, you kind of can jam off. Like, if you have ace-8-0, you can kind of rip it in if you really want to, right? So it's kind of interesting in case, like, if Linus will think that, then it will cap Sila range quite a bit. But then again, if Linus had offsuit ace, he probably jams again, himself as well, right? Or like at least raises. Very large bet on the turn over here. Interesting line. So Nadrim with ace 4-0. Ooh. So these are this kind of weird spots where, like, if the blind level will like go up in, like, let's say before you hit the big blind, I think you might want to take this one. King Jack O snap folded, huh? Interesting. Ladislav probably have the odds to call here. Seems hard to fold King Queen O. I do think it's getting somewhat close. It comes down to how wide Ladislav thinks Nadrim is jamming. Ladislav shouldn't have much of risk premium here. It's still going to have a little bit, but the bigger problem is how tight or wide Nadrim is jamming in that spot. Ooh, Nadrim doubles up. But yeah, it's more like if you think somebody is very tight, let's say jams like 10% of hands, Ladislav just like, is hand not going to probably do that well with slight risk premium, and you might not get the exact odds. But King Queen O, probably you do get the odds to go for it. So Yepster with King 8 suited, 18 bigs. Damn, there is like 22, 21, 22, 28, 14. Yeah, King 8 suited, you could arguably probably open. It's very like close spots, I must say. 750 over here on the bottom, probably not that much of a thing, to be fair. And fish puts it in the middle. Very nice jam. I think you can also opt to go nano in there. I think you need to jam. Linus Love with 750, the problem is you're expanding your range to the super wide, like to the extent that it's not really happening in Solver. Maybe Linus thinks the blinds might be too tight, or like doesn't don't rebet enough. In that case, sure. So pocket tens opening up over here. Lena probably just wants to mock it. Dreambet, I think I like the Dreambet nano line most. Because it's like ace deuce is often the hand you're being chosen. And I do think it's pretty simple jam for imposition player here. Then 8 suited, goes for an open. I think anybody can play against chip leader in that spot. Lena with King Jack O just mocks it. I don't mind that. It's EP open. David Jones with Queens. You probably just want to play call. If I had to guess, it will have maybe small frequency mix played like over there. With these stacks, it wouldn't even shock me to say like there are some cases again like Jeep leader is like 2x your stack. He opens early position. I would say like there is possibility that small blind should play call only strategy. So even if you have aces, you should be calling. There are some chances you do sometimes see like ace king go exactly, will just repeat in the middle. Or like ace king suited might also do so because of the blockers in like equilibrium. But I think if I were small blind, I would probably opt to call my range in that spot. Big blind probably should kind of whatever. Maybe shouldn't defend. This is like big blind defense in the high pressure ICM scenarios actually get very tight. But like you do see often still the suited connectors coming in. So as a in position player over here, you bet. I would assume there is a betting as long as Natrium is going to have a leading range. If not, you probably bet, you should bet, but it's very rather on a smaller frequency because big blind is very likely to have a leading range. Could not be true if he's not defending a lot of suited 6x, but maybe not actually. He only has view. It depends on the big blind's defending, like how big blind is defending. Another thing is David Jones might have a leading range there as an out of position player on the flop. It's a multi-way in the money bubble with like way changed ranges in general. Interesting lead on the turn here though. It does connect quite well with David Jones' range, to be fair. Lines love with Queen 10-0. This looks kind of fine. Like, really matter. Fish 2013, I don't think you can fold. So in final table with like not non-bubble final table, you will probably should opt to play 3-bet only strategy here. Yeah, like basically 3-bet to 2.5x, 2.3x. Sometimes it's like if you allow solver might even do 2x in these spots. So just pick your size and you do it with your range. You don't really have calls, but in the money bubbles do also have like these spots played more towards calls at times. Over here, if I had to guess, I would probably just play 3-bet non-all in only. Because there are more shorter stacks, so you're kinda like, whatever. Natrium over here with 11 big blinds, 10-9, so that, I think it's gonna get cooler there. Can he get away though? Can he get away? Epster waiting with aces, loving to fucking live. The dream. You have aces in 25k final label. 9 left. Spot you've been waiting for. Give some time. Okay. We have a flop. King, king, three. Jack? No. GG Natrium for 9th place. Unfortunately, 9th place in this case gives you nothing. Ace spades 11, ace 4 suited. He might be folding. Based on his previous fold, it's getting like there are one player less. You are exactly on the bubble. There ain't that like certain short stack, so he opts to open. As David Jones, like this spots will also play very 3-bet only. You do have a little bit flatting because you're a big stack, but I think for most part you want to 3-bet. It goes more towards 3-bet only because the opener's range should be very tight. So hands you typically would call are pretty much fine to 3-bet. Typically you want to call with ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, king jack, king queen suited type of hands. King queen is kind of doesn't really matter. You can 3-bet, probably fine to flat as well. So I think ace spades probably will have a high frequency check over here. You don't read like David Jones, like just exactly the range I just talked about. It's going to be a lot of suited ace-x, maybe ace queen o as well. If it says queen o as well, you're probably 100% checking there because David Jones' range is so ace-x dense. Even though you are ace-x as well, you don't want to like get money in over here with your ace 4. I don't really understand this bet size. Is this like a bluff? Like David Jones, that's like the hand. King queen is like worst hand. What are you trying to get called there? Like queen jack suited? That's 3 combos, right? Like what worse hands will call there? I can't think of any. Maybe some draws, but like the range, the way the ranges are, like you kind of bluffing your ace 4 suited. Like I don't know. That one felt a little bit weird, to be fair. BBC Brieflop Sharks and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. Ace spades, queen 4 suited with 30 big blinds. Then 6-0 opens, kind of pushing it, but sure. Lions love it, then 8-0, that's a defend. Ace high board. I'm gonna assume there should be quite a bit of checking still here. With like if you open 10-6-0, your range is wider in general than normal, and c-betting ace high board not as good. Also, Lions Love will call probably way more higher up with pre-flop range. So 7 connects quite well with Linus Love's range, so probing over here makes sense. Interesting fold. Feels a little tightish. Not sure. David Jones with 8-7 suited. Typically, you don't want to open suited connectors, but once the table is this deep, you probably fine. On a direct money bubble, you probably want to flat with 30 big blinds on hijack. Like, you can definitely flat. I don't mind the 3-bet here. With 30 big blinds effective, you probably don't really see, especially like a little bit bigger 3-bet size, you probably are not going to see a calling range here. David Jones might think there is a calling though, and if there is a calling, your hand is kind of okay, but like, you probably want to play very straightforward. Your hand good enough to go or not? Yep, every day 6 suited. You can probably open this one up. Everybody is like, there ain't that like exact short stack. Everybody like 25 to 35, all the like shorter stacks. 970 folding there. That seems fine. Yep, sir. Picking up pocket eights. I imagine we're going to see another open here with this depth. I don't see anybody defending. Yeah, Automax. Yep, sir. Folded king six suited as a snap fold. That's eight-handed, whatever. Ace spade's opening into a bigger stacks with queen than no, probably. It's still you still get to open here. Hard to open, not open like 25 at least here. It's probably around there. Unless there is some crazy like David Jones goes all in with king 8 suited type of strategy coming in due to bubble. In which case button's opening range probably could pick up to 20%. But there ain't that many like there ain't like a 5 big blind stack to cap the button's opening range to that extent. 974. I don't think it matters too much what you do. It's not like you're gonna range bet this, so don't think it matters too much. Dave Jones probably has to let it go, and he does. Ace 10 O opening up early position, and quick falls from rest of the players. Lena picked up with bucket jacks over here in the god off. He's going to open it up. David Jones with bucket fives, probably pure call here. I don't think you want to do anything else really, because you don't have blockers to 3-bet. And blind should fold. Oi, oi, David Jones flopping a middle set. Lena has an overpair. So if you're Lena over here, you want to be very cautious against the bigger stack. You don't want to bust. Goes ahead and bet small. That's fine. I don't mind really a check either from Lena. Is David Jones going to try and get money in right here? He's definitely thinking about that. I think if you were shorter, it would be like kind of whatever to go for a call because it's simple to get money in later streets. But it's kind of awkward in sense of like you kind of want to build a bot already. I like the call from Lena. I don't think David Jones, like, he did very small raise, so you are ahead of some 10x that David Jones can have, like ace 10, king 10, maybe that choose that line at like lower frequency. But you're not really ahead of values over here. 6 doesn't really improve either player. Maybe a little bit David Jones, like, bluffs, couple of those. We did see like random bucket pair bluff before, right? So he could have bucket sixes, 8-7, maybe 6-5. Lena goes for another call there on the turn. The problem with Lena is going to be he's going to end up being kind of high up on his range with pocket jacks now. Man, are you so... I'm not sure Lena can get away here. It's a rainbow run out. Unless Lena thinks like David Jones is not going to find bluffs. I do think it's likely that you are better to go with the 10x over here. In case David Jones shows like some ace 10 king 10 on this line. But then again, you do beat ace 10 king 10 in case David Jones really are value betting here. Lena is not going to have a queen X here often. I don't think like my problem is I don't think David Jones can really go for value like this with Ace 10 King 10. Yeah, Lena just pays it off. Ay, ay, ay. But yeah, Lena's problem is basically Lena does not have a queen. Like he's not going to bet and call raise with ace queen much at all, right? So very difficult one to like jacks are basically very high up on your range, so hard to see. Hard to see to get away with jacks there. So as we busted Lena got busted. We are in the money. There was a redraw for seats, and all the bladers have locked up 63,000 US. So let's see what's going to happen. A little different dynamic now. Fish opens up with ace 8 suited. David Jones can probably flat here with jack 9 suited, to be fair. Because you are a big stack, and Fish is still like a short stack, even though he has 27 bigs, but there are others short stack. So as a big stack, you do get to expand your flatting ranges as well. So Jack 8 9 suited it is kind of whatever, I would say. Pocket fives, kind of standard defend over here. Ace 8, probably you find a bet, because if whenever you have like sevens plus range, you probably want to start betting here somewhat frequently. 6 high boards typically shouldn't really connect that much with a big blind here. Yeah, so you kind of find a bet. With pocket fives, I don't think you can go away. You need to continue playing. Most likely a call. Well, six should be one of the cards that you do see leads here, probably. Because if you think about how much like 6x you're going to call on the flop, and Fish doesn't really have a 6x, maybe King 6 suited and Ace 8 suited, maybe Ace 6 0 if he choose to open. I think that would be a little bit too loose. Pocket sixes. Other than that, not really. Like 6 7 suited, maybe. Also unlikely. So I like the lead here. Ace 8 suited is kind of feels a little bit wide of a call. Not the end of the world though. Ace spades now. I think you want to go for a small value as a big blind here. 7 doesn't really change the board, right? I think you would just like to go for a small value bet. I think check calling could also make sense to go for a check call line. Ace 9-0 opens up, and everybody fold. Next hand. 4-3 suited. This would be too loose to open. Queen 10-0 from high check as a 25 big blind stack. Ugh, probably a fold. You probably should open about like 20-ish. King 9 suited opens. Fish just probably going to rip this one in, to be fair. Would have shocked me to see a non-all-in 3-bet over here. But typically, whenever the big stack opens late position, what's happening is big stack wants to put the pressure on. So they open wide range of hands. If they open wide range of hands, you're going to have a lot of fold equity to jam. Then you could probably... Solver will probably mix in low frequency to 3-bet non-all-in to call it off, and mostly jam, if I had to guess. David Jones, King 9-0, huh? Really pushing it. Really pushing it. It's probably fine. It's just like as a big stack, people often think they should play super wide ranges. I wouldn't say people are too out of line, but there are like lines you shouldn't really like go over. Not too much EV in like those hands. Even if you expand your range, oh, King's getting a walk. Probably not happy with that one. But typically, like if you're pushing your range, you just add it, so to speak, like get zero EV, more zero EV hands in. Unless you really think the table is playing too tight, which in final tables typically not a thing. There are some spots, but like I don't think so. In general, not really. Queen 8 suited over here. Nice love with King Jack O on the button, just folds. I think you can flat there. Ace 9 suited flats. And the idea is you don't want to, like, you're going to flat all, like, your king's probably flatting there, your queen's flatting, ace king fine to flat. So because you're flatting a lot of your strong hands, you actually, like, will see these spots because you're flatting top of your range. You get to expand a little bit your flatting range, especially with 50 big blinds, like mixing in a 3-bet every now and then. But you need to be careful with bluffs in general. Very interesting hand coming up over here. 6-9 suited defend. Probably okay with these ranges. David Jones didn't really go for a bet on the flop. That was interesting. I think you just, at this point, you just want to start getting some money in. Or he will go very large on the river. Very small size, huh? It does have kind of stupid blocker with 8 of spades, to be fair. Kind of want like blinds to have 8 of spades here. With 2 pairs, you probably find you should be defending here. Wouldn't shock me to see some raising out of the big blind there with 2 pairs. But you probably just like doing decently well in general to just like play as a call. Will David Jones jam here? I wouldn't. I guess I mind it if you have 8 of spades. If you had like ace queen with a queen of spades, could make sense. You probably will go like, yeah, like half pot-ish, like 2/3 type of a sizing. Trying to milk. Not that easy to bluff if you're David Jones now. Because queen hit quite a lot. I guess you can still have some like random stuff to bluff, like random ace-6 of hearts, stuff like that. Linus Love with ace-5-0 with 2 big stacks, and we can see the jamming stack with ace-king-0 on the small blind. Gonna be interesting to see. Think it's kind of whatever with ace-5-0 there. I'm gonna expect to see an open. You might be taking on a little bit tighter. Yeah, it's very tight there. You can still probably open around 25 though. So ace-5 blocker hands probably will do fine. Over here with 20, you are the shorter stack. You do see 3 in general raising coming in these spots. They're just probably just gonna rip this one in. Think you want to call probably more towards suited hands and go all in with offsuit hands in over here. Ace king against ace 9. Ooh, nope. Nice double for our small blind. So fish 2013, like starting to get the shorter and shorter. Rest is our bigger stacks now. The 9 suited opens on the big blind. It is a big stack, but it's probably too weak with Jack 7-0. You probably want like Jack 9-0 there. So ace king, we can see that. It's going to be an open. Probably folded to the big blind. As Jepser is in the middle of the back, it's very interesting. I think he could jam. I think he can probably go for non all in and call off the jam. I don't hate calling it. I think against bigger stack, because you expect bigger stack to open wider range, like three betting becomes more like makes more sense. If you think people the big stack is opening like on a tighter side, let's say he opens like 25, 22%. Maybe in that case you would like to more take like even calling lines there. Click, click, click. 25 guys, eh? He's just going to have to send this one in the middle and get the split. Or well, maybe somebody's getting lucky here. Yeah, this money goes in. Up. Shop beat up. So fold, fold, fold. David Jones. Doesn't matter what he does. Does choose to open. Because fish is the shorter stack, I don't think you want to defend den 7-0, but like den 9-0 you would probably defend here. So den 8-0 must be very close. See what he thinks about it. What will he do? He just gives up. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, I think den 9-0 it's pretty obvious to defend. And like den 8 is like, den 9 is kind of where the line is. At least I would expect it to be there. So pocket fives, early position open. Lanslav probably just calls here. So if it was like a mid stack who opens and that would restrict the opening range to be tight and like you're thinking of folding against TP, that would make a lot of sense. But I do think over here it's kind of I'm not sure. It's a big stack who's opening. It's a big stack, right? Because it's a big stack, he's probably opening still decently wide range for you to go with a defend there. So I'm not that big of a fan of that fold. But it's not in the end of the world, right? If it was a middle stack, or if maybe Linus thinks he's opening actually a rather tighter range, in that case, I think it makes perfect sense to see why a fold. It does look like Linus in general plays rather on a tighter side. At least so far, what we've seen. Nothing like too crazy though. Would say it's like a mistake or anything. So fish with 17 big blinds opens. So this will be... Nines are interesting. Do you want to rip or go non all in? Don't want to call with nines. Ah, it just goes all in. You can call with Queen Jack suited there. Ace spades, ace 5 suited. You probably want to open it up. High check, low check, MP. Yeah, like... Is it possible it could be a fold with like... Yeah, there... Like... You can think of folding if there is some crazy, like, let's say Yepster had like a fucking 5 big blinds, right? But like, in this case, everybody kind of have chips. Fish does have 15 only, so to speak. He does have bucket tens as well. Jeez. Wow, he lets pocket tens go. David Jones with pocket queens, hey? What the heck? Wow. The problem why he's letting it go is Yepster is not supposed to be having worst pairs, so you hope for the flip if you could put in the bucket tens, so it does kind of make sense. David Jones probably is going to just rip it in with queens here. You could maybe arguably go non all in and fold in case SPO players go all in, but like, ugh. Very very interesting hands over there. I'm just impressed. Like I don't know if it's like in when they actually played his snap folded dens, but yeah, like your dens, like you don't really have good blockers to jam, and it's like when you get called, you're never like you will be only happy to flip, so to speak, right? History. Oh, got off. Peak stack versus peak stack. David Jones with pocket fives. Small c-bet. With backdoor flush draw bear, you probably want to stick around over here. If you're an in position player on this type of cards, you probably don't mind barreling with that these cards. Oof. I'm not sure how big of fan of a big size I am here though. I guess he's going to do a size split. I do think with ISM you are often seeing a smaller size. I'm actually not 100% sure because they are playing like 70 big blinds effective. I haven't looked that deep of a sim with the sizings. Typically what I look is like 50 and less. But you do size down a lot in these spots because the range is like both players should be less ungapped than typically, and the Rangers' range equities should run very similar. And even if there is 55-45 situations, it's not that big of a deal in ICM. So Lionslav opening ace 7 suited. Yepster goes all in with ace king O. Seems pretty standard. Lionslav with ace king suited. I don't think he's going to get any action though. Unless somebody is going crazy. I don't think anybody has the hand to go crazy with, to be fair. David Jones is giving it a thought though. Yeah, just everybody's going to let this one go. Queen Jack O. Ace 10 O. He lets it go very next position. I like it. Could be a mix of a 3-bet still. Nice Love is going to defend this one. That will be way too tight of a fold here. So they basically have the same hand. Basically, just different suits. But I do think Imposition player will probably take this one down. A nice size up. I don't mind the smaller size either here. The idea is if Linus Love defended King Queen King Jack, your Queen Jack is great. Will have great blockers to run bluffs over here. Dave Jones with King 7 suited. You could probably open it up, even though you're opening to the chip leader. Still strong enough. Ace spades, you should let this one go. You do play a 3-bet only strategy, but I don't think you're gonna get that one to 3-bet. Yipster probably has to 3-bet here though. It's not the end of the world. Like, kind of depends which hands you just like to choose. If you look at a lot of solver solutions, you will see there are spots where like it would like suited king x, like king 10 suited, but there are also spots where like it's very suited tens and not too many offsuits, but like and it's mixed like king queen o, king jack o on a lower frequency or almost none. So kind up to like your selection. I wouldn't have mind a little 3-bet skid there. Ace spades with pocket fives from hijack. I'd like to let that one go. You basically want to have more of a blocker hand in that case, like ace 5-0, for example, would probably be better open, but wouldn't open that one either. Nice love with ace king O. Just going to open it up, and I think he's going to just get the faults. Fish 13. Going to let this one go. Line Slav gonna let it go. Bottom probably opens, and everybody should fold here, I imagine. I think it would be probably too loose to defend 10-6-0. A7-0 opens on the button. David Jones, it could be a call here. Not 100% sure. I think it matters though. The idea is you're probably going to continue with Jack's 9 suited. So Jack 8 must be close, right? Uh, as a big blind, I think you want to defend this one. King 9-0 against button. Wouldn't mind non all in 3 bet as a bluff on a lower frequency. King eye board, checks to the button, check, check. So this kind of comes down how often do you expect strong king X to check back on the flop. Buttons shouldn't really have too many 5x, does have few suited ones. Yeah, ace spade just goes for value here. I think he's gonna get any, though. But let's see. Is there value to be gained? Maybe a bluff? No. Not this time. Not this time. Ace 10-0. Cutoff is opening it up. And button should likely to defend. I think it's likely we are going to see a defend. Jack 10-0. Ace King 7, middling stack open, so because it's cut off open, so and you need to open towards blockers, these type of boards in general are Ace King X are very good for openers range because it's supposed to be really opening blocker hands like Ace X and King X, so it should connect very well. Jack 10-0, back to flush draw, cut shot, probably should still defend because you have a nut draw, so to speak. Interesting to see if he tries to triple it off here. Yeah. Well, never know. Maybe he checks back on the river, but keeps betting. Lion Slav with ace queen o. Going to open it up. David Jones, I imagine you just want to flat here. I don't mind a 3-bet though. But like king queen suited, ace queen suited, ace jack suited, those are like often your flatting hands in general. So jack high board. So Ladislav first thought is probably like, okay, is he flatting ace jack o and king jack o in general? Because you want to determine how many offsuit jack x the in position player are going to have. If ace jack and king jack o are both in David Jones flatting range, I do think Ladislav should probably opt to, if not 100%, very high frequency check as out of position player. As David Jones, I think like kind of similar. He wants to think how much of King Jack and Ace Jack O he has. Definitely has King Jack and Ace Jack and probably Queen Jack suited, but there are way less combos there. Does have decent blockers to Ladislav, King Jack, and Queen Jack. So it goes for a bet. Ladislav, probably a mix of a defend there if I had to guess. But yeah, not 100% sure. But probably a mix of a defend. Ace 10-0 under the gun opens it up. Ladislav should be defending here. Again, only reason he should not defend is like if he thinks under the gun player, the chip leader is too tight, which I don't think like, even though we see cards and he does not, based on how often you see open, it's just not going to be draw. Like so far, like he's been opening quite often. a sideboard. Typically, like English player can opt to just check their range if they die their range, but like I think he understands his range is a little bit too wide to range bet ace high boards. This is kind of like, do you want like kind of check fold? I guess with king jack. Could be go. It could go check check though. Large bet, yeah. I don't know if it check fold is like your only answer here. Maybe check raise sometimes as a bluff, because you block pocket kings. But I think I would like to see a check fold here. Maybe check call on a lower frequency end, but I don't know. The basically in position player, chip leader is saying like, hey, I'm gonna have ace x plus here. He's not betting like a king x, right? So your king x is a bluff catcher because you only beat the bluffs, right? So it comes down to MDF for you to defend. You probably have enough ace x to defend there in general, that you don't need to defend king x. And if you defend king x, maybe you should be like raising could make sense. You're blocking kings, ace jack, right? So maybe raising every once in a while as bluff. Ace 8 over here, just limps, like it. Ooh, middle bear for Linus. Open ender for Jip Leader. Legendon. I don't know. So bad at the pronunciation here. So Linus goes for a check. Apatish bet. I'm gonna imagine Linus just needs to call here. I think you can get away by just folding. Wow. I'm not really sure you can get away by folding, I was about to say. I'm not sure like I like it. It is possible they have some type of reads or something like that. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure like you should fold the middle link pair there. Not a big fan of that. Fish with bucket nines can go two ways. You can probably open it and you can go all in. Like open non all in. Or you can do that. Doesn't really matter. As a big blind, King Queen O, your middle link stack, probably need to get this one in. And we have a flip. King on the flop. Fish needs 9. Or he's going to bust. And he is busting as our 7th place finisher for 63,000 US. Our chip leader picking up aces on the button. David Jones with 680. Like, it's because chip leader is opening and matching. Wouldn't shock me to see a defend here. I don't think it matters. Like 870, you would defend, right? So 860 probably like should be the line, right? Or like, I don't know, maybe it falls, maybe defends. I don't mind either way. I think you're deep enough to like, it wouldn't matter too much. Queen Jack deuce. English player goes for large bet size. So I don't think the large bet size will be much of a thing there. And the reason would be David Jones should probably flat jacks and queens. Maybe not actually, because they're so deep. But if you think David Jones would flat jacks and queens, there ain't no not advantage for imposition player other than aces and kings. So kind of a situation where sizing up on the flop probably not as good idea if you think big blind is defending that, right? Could be that he thinks like big blind is always three betting pre-flop with jacks plus. In that case, sizing up probably fine. Or in general, building a sizing up range with very tiny parts of your knotted range and some bluffs could also make sense. So 8-7 suited opens. David Jones goes with a flat. I like it. So neither player flops nothing. So if you're under gun player, right? You are low jack. Keep in mind we are playing 6-handed. You are probably opening quite wide here, so you don't really want to engage in very wide c betting. Also, David Jones should be most likely flatting like queens, probably kings. In general, you do see it because you don't really care to play a big pot against a big stack or like the chip leader. So it does make a lot of sense that out of position player might, even as a chip leader, have close to a check your range on the flop. Because like typically in chip you would see like, hey, the guy has a lot of like queens, kings, and aces, but like in this case, David Jones can very easily have the same, right? And David Jones bets on turn, takes down, like it, nice. So there are some like pre-flop range changes in general that are like affecting the post flop. Obviously, there is ICM still, even on the post flop. David Jones, then 8 suited, probably opens it up. And let's go. King 10 suited, you need to defend that one. Yeah, people are probably fine to defend the suited one. It's hard to fold that. But you need to be very cautious on a big blind here. You're playing against two big stacks. You're dirtying the chips. A lead? Interesting. Are we going to see a call? Raise? Fold? Fold, huh? David Jones probably going to let this one go. Yeah. There we go. Ooh, pocket queens. Oh, we will find out if David Jones are calling pocket queens on the big line in this scenario. This is interesting. I think he's probably supposed to be mixing it. Could be a pure call. It is against the button though, so often you will still see with the stack depth to like, let's get on with it, so to speak. So I guess on that flop Queen Jack X, David Jones probably doesn't have queens. So you size in position player sizing up does make sense. Nice love with pocket jacks, pocket threes calling. Nice, Jesus, this guy, flop sets, huh? That's how you win 25 games. I don't know if you're winning or he's going to win, but that's a good start in your final tables. So Ladislav, you should probably just check his range. Typically over here, there's a lot of range checks happening in these spots. Oof, is Ladislav going for check for like with the Jack of Spades? Seems kind of like it. Yeah, I'm gonna assume he's not going to fold this one. I think he should. But it will get very dicey very quickly. Against second barrel, you probably will let it go. I do think we're gonna see a second barrel here. Seven big blind, setting up a nice river jam, but I don't think Linus will go for a call here. I think he's going to let this one go. There we go. Ace-4 suited for Linus, letting that one go from hijack. Holy, actually, this might not be due that. He's in the fourth place with chips, and there is big stack next, two big stacks in position for him. It's probably if I had to guess, it's probably still opening Ace-4 suited. But still, like, it could be it will be very tight opening range. He should have. In general, it does look like he might be a little bit on a tighter side, but he might be right with those, and I might be wrong with these opens because they kind of feel very close. So hijack opens, Queen 8 suited, David Jones with Ace 9 suited. I think David Jones matters what David Jones does. He should be betting sometimes checking. Again, comes down to how much king jack o, ace jack o you're going to have in this spot. Maybe queen jack o, that would be kind of pushing it though. Maybe jack 9 suited, jack 10 suited, jack 8 suited. That seems a little too far. So we see it, another check. David Jones can definitely start betting again on lower frequency. The problem with David Jones is he's not going to have that much value. So he should have decent amount of checks on flop and turn. Wouldn't mind a bluff from out of position here, but again, like it's not easy to have much value. I like the small size. I like the sizing. I like this play. As a David Jones, you definitely need to call some ace highs here. It's rather a matter of which ones would you like to choose from. Ace 9 blocks pocket nines, which could take the line that Celonan takes. So it's all about like a blocker thing over here. Which one you want to choose? I think maybe ace 9, ace 10 would be a good calls because you're blocking 10s, 9s, and jack 10, jack 9. That would probably take that line. Or are likely to take that line. Then again, maybe you're thinking jack 10, jack 9 would size up on the river, even like 10s and 9s. In that case, yeah, you probably don't want to choose ace 9. David Jones opens it up. Interesting spot for small blind. He's probably fine. Like, in these cases, the big stack gets to actually call quite a wide range. As a big blind, I don't mind either of a squeeze there or a call. I think both plays would be fine. I think big blind could have leading range here. I'm not sure about small blind. Small blind probably not. Depends kinda. But all three players will be very careful here, or they should be, because even if you have ace jack over here, like you're not looking to play for your stack, right? It's probably like one street, maybe two smaller bet sizes to go with two streets of type of a hand over here for big blind to get value. Because what worse will really call you with like some weaker ace-x, right? If there with the ace 9-0, 16 big blinds, I don't mind to see an open here. You do have like, whenever you short stack, you want to open towards blocker hands in general. So ace 9-0 will like outperform whenever you have like 9-8 suited, for example. So kind of nice one. David Jones with the big stack. Probably fine to mix a small frequency 3-bet, not all in over here. I don't think you want to fold because you're such a big stack, but like not all in, mostly calling makes the sense. If you think Yepster would open a little bit too wide, jamming could also be an option. But based on how solid the table have been playing, like we see the cards and like even if we don't, I do kind of feel like it's going to be fine. Or like you don't really want to jam. I don't think he has any like reason to think somebody's out of line. The short stacks. Nice check raise there. Ace 10-0, you probably want to jam. Getting in an area where maybe raise calling could also make sense though. Either one of those options. You raise call or you jam. Like if you have ace 9-0, you probably want to jam. So ace jack probably wants to raise, even though you get to jam probably as well. But like you're in around that there, so just so to speak, preference thing, because you are not a solver or a bot who knows exact answers for every spot. So just that's like the idea should be there. Jack 10-0 opens, king 3 suited defense, small bet, gets it done. Move on. Ace king for our chip leader. Ace spades should be easy to let it go. Linus will let it go. Jack 4-0. Don't really have much going there, huh? Then just so you against chip leader, you want to let it go. You're dirty in the chips, 24 bigs. Just like you need to play pretty tight there against chip leader. This should be a spot where you either raise or you 50 big blinds. I'm not really sure if 50 big blinds will have a jamming range coming in, but you play very aggressive as a raise there. 50 could be a little bit too much to go for jams though. But there could be a jamming range at 50 big blinds. Yepster with Buck Kings should be an easy min. Line Slav, Ace 4 suited, probably let it go. Hard to see that Yepster is going to get bait here. Linus is thinking about it though. Nope. Everybody letting it go, huh? Linus, let's go Ace 5-0. Chip leader opens Ace 10 now. There's another big stack at Ace 10. Oh, it's fine to 3-bet, but you need to be careful because it's like, are you 3-betting for value Ace King O? Are you 3-betting for value with pocket jacks, pocket queens, kings? Do you want to flat those hands? If it's just like kings plus, let's say you want to value bet, first of all, he should probably choose a bigger 3-bet sizing, I would imagine, because you go so bowler. And another thing is you need to be very careful about bluffs because it's kind of simple to over bluff because your value range is very small percentage. So lines love, then 8 suited. This seems very clear defend. Ooh, flops open ender. Our chip leader doesn't flop bad either. Like sizes up. If you're Linus, do you want to raise here? You can't really raise and get it in. I guess you just play as a call. Maybe sometimes raise bluff, so to speak. I think he's just going to call though. Okay, he went for a raise. Is it like it's just the size? Is it raise calling that one? Seems kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. So Yepster is going to put this one in the middle. Ace though. I don't think Linus Ace though will be a hand he will be going with. I think he should. I think it's probably Ace 8 suited. If I had to guess. Could be Ace 7 suited. And like Ace 9 or Ace 10 no. It is 8 big blinds though. It is 8 big blinds though. I think if you have Ace 9 0, you probably will go. So Ace 8 is going to be close. Based on how Linus has been playing, I kind of feel like he's going to take a tighter route though. It's not going to... it seems like if there is a close decision, he chooses to play more tighter, which makes sense in ICM. And the whole idea is you're just folding your 0 EV hands a little bit more often than you should. Right? Because it's just bottom. You have to read 10-9 suited. I'm gonna imagine, yeah, just rips it in. I don't think anybody gets to call. I know why Linus is thinking with 9-4 suited. Ace spades, king jack suited. Ooh, I don't think you want to have a jamming range here. 6-handed. You could but those would be very few hands. King jack suited could be one of them though. But typically, you're opening such a tight range, you just want to min raise. And basically, you are defended with your tight opening range. You don't really need to worry about it. Lines with pocket eights, got off hijack. You need to open that one. I think he should open. Ace jack calls. I don't mind a 3-bet there. I don't mind 3-bet bluff. I don't mind the call. I think both are fine options. Linus flops bottom set. Again, this out of position spots probably play quite a bit of checks. Like mostly are supposed to be checking out of position anyways. So as an in position player, and like he will have quite a bit of king X, but like his range should be still kind of wide-ish. 7 is actually kind of good card for cut off chip leader's range here. I kind of feel. His line is going for volume here. Double jack. Setting to drop. Does our chip leader buy it though? I think it could be reasonable to value bet. To bluff ace jack there. Such a weird run out now. I think if you Linus, you want to bet small here. It's hard to size up because both players can have the straight here. He does size up though. Only reason Linus might like you. Yeah, I think this is fine. I'm still thinking maybe you should size small here. Unless you think the imposition player doesn't never have kind of their next because their next would bet the flop or turn very often. But it's still like, I know. But you do have a set, so it does make kind of sense. You should get called by some two bears and stuff like that still. Our short stacks, blind versus blind. Ace spades. Are we going to see a raise, a limp? I think we're going to see a fold. Just a jam, huh? That's fine. 7 deuce. Doesn't want to gamble in 25k. Shocking, huh? David Jones with ace 6-0. Going to open it up. With this stacks, you could be arguably thinking about that you might want to have a jamming range. I'm not sure ace 6-0 would like to do it, but like with these stacks, definitely possible. You want to expand your range to the extent that you want to have actually open rips. So could be a thing. Ace 5 suited, going to open. No jams into 95 big blind, big blind. I don't think anybody gets to play here. Even big blind with a big stack, you're not supposed to be really playing queen 4-0 here. Kind of impressive how good these guys are, huh? 25k players. Everything makes sense. And even if some spots I'm like, maybe should be like this and stuff, but it's like I would say all those spots been like where I might have taken a little bit different action, very close, like their decisions are close. Ace 8, David Jones. Ace 7-0. So if you open off, so it's Ace 6 over here, very far down as David Jones. The Ace 6 will be kind of good fucking board. You're gonna have a lot of sets, not sets, trips. Yep, sir, with Ace Jack O, can probably just want to rip. I don't mind a min raise, but I think you mostly want to rip. And David Jones going to call off with 8s. And we have a classic flip. Is there Jack to survive? Nope. GG, yep, sir, for $87,000. We're down to 5 players. Ace 4-0 goes for an open. David Jones should probably jam this one. This at 30 big blinds, suited ace 6 and like stuff like that. When you get to put pressure, often do go up to jam these spots. Could arguably call, but like I think you want to jam. Like in ISM, maybe because there is only like one clear short stack, you want to take more passive line as a call. But in general, like jamming does make a lot of sense. Kind of small board. David Jones goes for a lead. I'm not sure about that. I think either of the players will connect with this board, to be honest. David Jones maybe has a little bit more 7x. Not sure about that either. If you have three, maybe he's like calling threes, fives, and sevens pre. If that's true, then leading could make more sense. King kinda connects with the imposition player here. Goes for bluff. Very hard to see double calling twice with a gut shot here. Ace high. He is thinking about it, which is interesting. I think in his mind, it just doesn't make David Jones doesn't make any sense, right? As I said, shouldn't have threes, shouldn't have like fives and sevens. Probably rips pre. So what is the value here from David Jones, right? And he's probably like, yo, is it just like trying to get me fold? Like, what is the value bets of David Jones when he calls pre and leads? That's why he probably were thinking, because like David Jones like story does not check out, so to speak, or it's very heavy on like how would you range David Jones pre-flop? Do you think he's flatting all the bears or not? Because if not, doesn't really make sense to lead. But if he's leading, kind of says like, "Yo, I do flat," right? Because like that would make sense. I don't know, but I can see definitely a reason why he was thinking as a imposition player there, because it's just like, what's your value range? Like that's basically what he was probably thinking. Like it doesn't make sense. What is your value range? Maybe like you do call with fives and threes, so that could be. But it's like it's very narrow range. David Jones can actually go ahead and start betting there, because it doesn't really have that much value, right? Especially on the second barrel on the king, very difficult. Like it's just two bears. Like what two bears can you even have? What two bears can you really even have, right? Very interesting hand. I do think it's like I understand why he was thinking, and like it just didn't have a hand to really do anything though. Oh, Linus with pocket fours. So typically, if hijack would open, these small pocket pairs, like if you think the opener's range is very wide, you're more likely to want to jam. And if you think it's rather on the tighter side, you want to call. Over here, because it's hijack, I'm opting into a call. Lines ups to just sitting out, too rich to care, I guess. Who knows? Maybe he disconnected. I'm gonna assume he disconnected if he's still sitting out, which is very interesting. Maybe just like have some other blinds. Who cares? But I imagine it's just a disconnection, or because we had a small, like so to speak, break, like it hang. Maybe it's on a break still. Yeah, that's probably it. So David Jones 9-8. Let's go. Ladislav with Ace 10-0. I think you can go eat. Like doesn't really matter too much how you play this. I think I hate race calling it off the least. I think I like jamming or limp jam. Because you haven't really limped. Like, one thing with high stakes Rex to say, they do have history playing each other a lot. So there might be stuff that we don't like. I'm looking and like talking about. I might not consider because they have history and like they, so to speak, taking slight explore lines here and there. But like in general, like just a mixing thing, anyways. Like poker is these days, just mix, 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 right? So then 5-0 makes a lot of sense to open. 6-3 suited, okay-ish defend. Can't really defend against that that flop against that size. So lines love ace 5-0 here. I think you want to open this one, even though the button is a big stack and big blind is a big stack. I do think, wow, man, how tight can you like? I don't think you can be that tight. I might be wrong, but that is too tight. That feels like a too tight. Man, I'm literally thinking of just running this type of a spot. This feels a little bit too tight. So over here, small blind limps. I cannot believe folding ace 9-0, huh? Like in some crazy ISIM scenarios, sure. Over here, I'm not really sure that's it. So check on the flop. David Jones has a second pair. Some draws for small blind over guards to the six. Starts bluffing. David Jones must defend here. Seems very difficult not to defend your second pair. Queen kinda go next to the board because if as a small blind you do probably choose some queen X to bluff. So queen connects with some of small blind bluffs over here. Not all of them, but it kind of I kind of feel like it leads more towards betting as a small blind here with 10-8 because of the queen of hearts on the river. Interesting spot for David Jones. You have a bluff catcher. So the question is like, is your opponent going to bluff you enough? A lot of stuff, like typically when a lot of stuff, like if small blind had a 7 or a 8, he just needs to use those hands to bluff. And if he does it a little bit too much, it's easy to over bluff. But you do have kind of a bluff catcher. You kind of top on your range with the Jack 6. So I think I would have called there. But obviously, it's easier to say watching a replay, seeing the hands. But I do think I would have led more towards call for reasons it's easy to overbluff. But with these guys, like if it's 25k, people do tend to give up and like have, so to speak, some like reasonable ranges, and like they play good, right? So chip leader versus chip leader. Jack 10 suited versus Jack 9 suited. I'm gonna say this bet size sucks. Might be wrong, but like it seems like you can probably build your betting rate, some bets around this, but like it is 50%. Maybe I'm wrong. It is very deep though. The idea is David Jones gonna have all the sets. Probably has jacks, queens, possibly kings. Like there is no like I have you don't have type of hands here. Like all both players gonna have 10-8 suited, right? So it's hard to size up in these cases on the flop, especially you're out of position. There makes more sense sizing down. David Jones probably needs to defend. He does have a draw to with the den. They both have river, like David Jones also rivers the straight. Hmm. I think he wants to bet. The question is the sizing here. Goes out, but I'm leaning more towards folding this one. Like you do block Jack then. That is like one good thing about over here. You do block Jack then. That could bet a flop like that. So you're blocking, so to speak, the nuts. But yeah, I don't know, man. Not sure about that one. Could be a call. Could be a mix. So we see King Jack O opens. And nothing else happens really. Three X open, offsuit King X. That's fine. Ooh, is I know. Yeah, just call. Just click that call button. Very small bet size here with King 9. Hmm. With Ace 9, just going for a call, right? This is a pretty bad card for out of position player, I kind of feel. Because in position player has 7x, does have a6. He does keep barreling over here to small size. He does have all the, like, some 7x, some a6, still definitely in the range, right? What now? What now with King High? What are you doing now? Hope for a check split? Very interesting what the size should be. Kind of feels like the size should be kind of smallish here. It goes very. I was thinking like small, but not that small. But maybe that, like, these bare boards and with ISM like in position does make sense to bet very small there. Your range is very like boats and like not that easy to bluff, so to speak. Pocket fours over here opening up. David Jones probably just going to call with pocket eights. Ace spades should let this one go, King 5-0. Not really much going for your King 5. So ace high board, pocket eights are ahead. Another very small lead. So I'm not 100% sure, like, against God off, like, how much leading there is. But actually, small blind does have on ace high boards when you call, like, typically you would call a lot of, like, a6, right? So you do have a leading range. But over here, it kind of feels like small blind will also call a lot of, like, suited connectors, one gappers, maybe some two gappers, offsuit Broadway and stuff like that. That the range is so wide that you don't really have a range equity advantage to start leading here. Even though, like, Impish player probably kinda going to be wide as well, so might be a little bit. I'm not 100% certain how it would work out on this type of a board. So we see lead, 2-bet, call. Check on the turn. What now? Is he going to buff eights? I'm not sure. Man, I know. Very small bet, huh? So he's value betting, really? I'm assuming this is a value bet. Yeah, a little bit weird line, but I can see that being actually like equilibrium line, even like sometimes just lower frequency or something. His spades with queen nine suited probably just puts it in the middle. You have a nice suited hand. You're shorter stack. Not much you should be waiting over here. He's definitely thinking about it. And he puts it in the middle and gets it through. BBC Brieflop Charts and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. So, on small blind, Queen Jack O, 36, could arguably jam. Don't think it like raising, jamming, it's really matter. You just want to pressure the small blind. Nice lovely pocket tens over here. It's going to open it up. I think you want to open rip though. Kind of interesting spot for a big stack. You probably just find the flat. David Jones is kind of those offsuit one gappers. Even one gappers, they don't really defend. Not a Bad flop for Linus Love. Flopping bottom set. Goes for a very small bet size and gets snapfold. Move on. Queen Jack suited, opens it up. David Jones with 5-4 suited. Could maybe defend it. It's a little bit difficult when you have a damn big blind behind you, I think. It wouldn't be the end of the world. King 10-0, opens it up. So we have 10 big blind stack, 23, 95, 79, 37. Nice love, we check to suited. I think you should be probably still limping that. The bottom suited hand still could be indifferent though. Buck checks 9 beaks. Probably just min. You will have a jamming range here. I think you can go either way. That shouldn't make too much difference. TV will be the same. Just drips it in. No calls. Next hand, please. Jack 10. Oh. Ooh, Queen 7. No. Big stack versus big. This might be actually a defend in this this scenario. So typically you do want to be tighter, but you're so deep, and the chip leader probably opens very wide. So it's not easy for chip leader to get all the money in. So you shouldn't really be that much worried. 10-6-0. Ooh. Little raise maybe? There we go. There we go. 8-4 suited. Ugh. What a spot. Probably want to defend against such a small raise here. Five, 5-3. Maybe a small bet from out of position. Like, ace spades shouldn't really have that much like connection with this board, even though like David Jones probably opens like wide range of hands, so doesn't really connect either. I think ace spades should be defending here. You probably need to defend backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. I could like that. At least it's going to be a mix, because you need to find defense somewhere. Might be wrong about that. David Jones, oh, kind of nasty spot. I don't think it matters. Like, three betting is an interesting choice. I think it's fine. Maybe call. Like, calling is kind of weird because you have 8 big blinds on the small blind, and Linus also has a jamming stack. So probably folding, or if you want to go for a small bluff, makes sense. Dave Jones opens up, big stack versus big stack action. So Dave Jones wants to play very carefully here. Don't really ever want to. I'm not even sure you will have a line where all the chips would should go in over here. Probably, if anything, it will be with sets, but other maybe 2 pairs. But other than that, there won't really be a line where all the money should go in, or it's very infrequent. Obviously, if you have sets, you will have some bluffs. Kind of blank card on turn. So this is kind of decent card to mix in a bluff, and you should probably. Yeah, I like the botting. Being this deep, maybe even overbetting is a thing over here. But because it's big stack versus big stack with this type of ISM, I would probably choose spotting as well. Maybe 2/3. Kind of feels a little bit too small though. And the whole reason would be you're gonna have your sets probably over pairs at this point as well. You want to kind of barrel. I think as out of position player, you probably find to have maybe some leads. when flush completes. Very interesting to give up with a jack of with a club there. It kind of would feel like you want to continue. At the same time, maybe you really don't, and you don't want to even go for three streets with like if you have set, you're gonna go three streets, right? You might have a lot of like hands that won't value bet three streets on a club there, so have a little bit more give ups. King Queen suited probably will get this one in. I don't think anybody will be. Maybe small blind will call. I don't think he should though. I don't think he should. It is 8 big blind jam though. But yeah, A7-0 is a little bit too weak. David Jones should go all in, I would assume. Ace speed's not much you can do. You have Drash, just fold. Queen 6 of hearts, interesting, like maybe could open. It's very difficult once the David Jones covers you though. Also, like small blind doesn't have too much chips, so your RFI percentage will go down here quite a bit. So probably good fold. David Jones opens, Linus defends King 10. If Linus thought that David Jones is way out of line, good jam. But that would mean David Jones needs to be out of line. 19 big blinds. You mostly want to probably still go for a call over here. In GPV, you typically like this type of equity often wants to get it in, but with in final table, with there being 8 big blind stack, it's probably fine to raise, but like you're taking more like the threshold for getting it in goes down or like goes up. So Linus should have a value bet here, pretty simple. Unless he wants to try and trap or something, but I think you kind of want to play very straightforward and value here. The question is like how the sizing I kind of feel. Do you want to pot it, bet very small, like kind of half pot, 2/3 type of a bet? Dave Jones just gives it up. Doesn't really have a good blockers against that bet size to go for a bluff. Like King Queen are more likely to size up, I feel. So King, like having a queen doesn't really do much unless like you think King Queen is going for that size as well. Blocking King Queen is amazing. King Queen suited for Linus over here. 25, probably. I don't think it matters too much. I do think you're mostly supposed to be limping. At 25, there could be some raising. Okay. Raise call. Both players hit the top pair. So the bot is kind of big already. It's very hard to not get away from in this spot type of spot. So Linus bet's very small on the flop. Makes sense. I don't think it matters too much. And we have a call. Linus can go probably for a check raise or a kind of bet. I kind of feel like even though it is ISM spot, like you're kind of playing for stacks after a call happens there. It goes very small. Interesting betting choice. Once it goes so small, it's kind of weird with King 5. You probably just want to still call. But you choose a raise? So he probably raising because he's thinking like if Linus had King Queen King Jack, he would probably bet bigger, which I don't think is necessarily true. But he's basically trying to get value from worse than. Oh wow, Linus going for another click. Hi. Wow. So he just has to call now. What is this spot, huh? This is high stakes cash players, I guess. Damn, on a jack line, it's either a jam or bet like 10%, probably. Because both play like Linus should like bluffing range should have queens. Wow, he bets 10%. I'm not 100% sure, like Linus plays probably fine, good, like or like the best answer. I'm not sure if it's the best answer. Maybe you still want to jam with that. The idea over here is Linus range will be very heavy on straight on the river, and even though in position player like once he the two bets on the turn, it doesn't really have that many. Like I feel like his range is more towards two pairs. He's going to have some straights. Don't get me wrong. Very likely has a little bit. Linus must have like, but Jack connects with all Linus's bluffs and everything like that. I don't know. Who knows? It was my first thought. Like, can we even like go none all in, like 8 big blind stack? That good, like just because of that, it makes sense. You don't really stack off. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe Queen still needs to just jam. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Linus is also like. Maybe you should just jam. You do have the nuts. Wow, he's really thinking about it. So Linus bluff should be some random Jack XC 3-bet, I would assume. Yeah, like what else can he really have there to click it back? It must be some random Jack X or like bluffing yeah, very very difficult to find even bluffs for Linus there. Like that's another thing. Once it's so difficult, that's why you also want to size kind of down. But like you don't you have one dirt behind, but there is another short stack. So you stacking off and whenever you bluffing and losing would be kind of terrible. Like leaving yourself a little bit behind. Man, I know which one. Maybe I will run that spot. Very interesting to know if it's the way you play. So Linus opens. Big blind defense at 25. Flops middle bear. You do see a lot of middle bears check raise, but I think A7, King 7 are not going to be those cards. Those 7x. Typically, it's more like 7-5, 7-8 type of, maybe 7-9 sometimes. 7-4 suited, stuff like that. And also, it's kind of similar with 6. Linus turns second pair. Goes check, check. I guess just check it down. Hope you win with ace-9. Right? Like, 8 is a straight, so. Queen 9 suited. David Jones. Probably will see a defend here. You can probably every once in a while choose 3-bet there. I don't hate the fold. It is kind of like getting on your bottom. Damn, chip leader and pocket kings, huh? Ace spades, if you're ace spades, you're probably just calling here. If you think there is a like decent amount of fold equity, which is hard to see with with that shallow of a stack, you probably just call. Is it jamming here? Yeah. So, good luck. A lot of equity for ace spades on the turn, but does not get there. So, finishes 5th place for 121,000 US. Not a bad score. David Jones opens up with 9-8 suited. In this case, King 7 will be defend. Unless he thinks David Jones is like super type. Nah, you defending this one. He goes for a 3-bet. That's fine. I guess size is kind of feels a little bit on a smaller side. I don't mind it because like you cover by a decent margin, so your value range is actually somewhat wide there, I'd imagine. Dave Jones takes it down with ace king suited. Nobody else has really much going. Damn, chip leader and getting some decent hands, huh? Small blind, you could arguably fire a three bet. This dude often mix in, but like it's just a frequency play and stuff like that. So mostly you just want to fold. King nine, good three bet, good call. Think matters. Interesting flop over here. David Jones have two pair. Our chip leader has trips. That's very small. So I imagine in general in GP you would see a lot of check raising happening here because you're playing against chip leader. I don't think there is that much check raising gonna come in this particular stack distribution. Probably still a little bit because you will have trips, but like you do up more towards calls. I feel like. So this is a size kind of telling like, yo, I have a queen. What you gonna do about it, right? Oof. What is this spot? So the question is, how big do you want to? You kind of hit the king as well. Might be a spot where you actually because your bluffs are often king check, king 10 as well. This might actually be a spot where you go half pot with the king queen. Oh wow, or you do that. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe like because you're just blocking all the calls with king queen. That's why I'm thinking like maybe just like go for a small bet. I might be wrong because like maybe at that point you're just like, hey, if the other guy has like he's going to call with trips mostly, you just want to jam. Could be. I'm not 100% sure what is the best play there. Linus with 650. Probably find the limp there still. He is kind of like third in this third in the chips. So I'm not sure about this distribution, but four-handed you already see a little bit ICM effect wears down. Even though in this distribution, like with one guy having basically over half of the chips, maybe not as much through. It's still gonna have this amount of ICM, so I think it matters too much. Uh, you should still probably play kind of aggressive as a big stack over here, but because you're playing the shorter stack, you do probably do fine at 20 big blinds to introduce some limbs. Are we going to see a bluff on the river? I think so. This is Jeep later. This is like another thing. Whenever somebody's Jeep later, they are very more like they're way more happy to like try and bluff you off the hands in general. So it's ace king for David Jones. Chip leader opens. You probably just want to. You could arguably rip this, but I think you mostly want to just three bet none all in and get over with the hand, so to speak. Uh, this is gonna be a bass probably. Hard to see three deuce. Ooh, he does limp. Think that would be like a little bit pushing it too much. You're playing against Linus. It's likely that you don't really think like you're gonna beat him both flop. At least I wouldn't really have that thought. So I would still fold my bottom. I do think in equilibrium you are supposed to be folding your bottom over here. So it will be very interesting to see how Linus reacts if this goes to showdown and he sees David Jones limping juice 3. Does not see a showdown. Aces for our shorty. I think we're gonna see a defend from the big blind. Uh, I think it matters too much if you. I'm leaning more towards bet, but I think it matters. Like it's very hard to see you get to bet your range in ICM. It's like it does happen, but like I would say less frequently than in GPV. So for that reason, it's like you can check your overbears as well, but mostly you still want to bet them. King Queen suited. I think it matters which line you take. I would not like jamming though. Choose to raise. See a call. Flush draw versus a gut shot. I think you're gonna have quite a high frequency check here as a small blind in general. I don't mind a bet though. The idea is you're not interacting with the 8 or 5, but the imposition player should interact with the 8 and 5 a little bit better than you do. Small bet makes sense. Over here you can call, you can like check raise and like get it in and run it, so to speak. I think it matters too much. He does go for a check raise. He chooses such a small size. I think David Jones is forced to defend here, actually. Yeah, it's very small, right? Yeah, you have backdoor flush draw, a gut shot. Very hard to see you can fold that. Ace shouldn't be really much in neither player's range. Actually, both can have some. Both can have some. But like, there is not much check raising with ace highs, I imagine, on the flop. And for that reason, David Jones is more likely to have a ace here than small blind. Very small bet, very interesting. This doesn't really make that much sense to me. Are you like betting 8? Like, what is your value? I guess you can bet ace to this size, to be fair. So I guess that would make sense. I think if you, yeah, you just go for a check call against that size. Because you still have a showdown value. You're going to beat all the bluffs. David Jones going to actually rip an 8 here. I'm actually thinking good small blind just lead. Because small blind range can also have 8s. Very interesting, and I do think small blind range can definitely have some 8s. David Jones probably has 8s. I don't know, man. Interesting hands. We definitely had a couple of very interesting hands over here. So H5-0 opens, line is Slavic King 6-0. Probably 3-bet nano in. Defend, like in general, like you can defend 3-bet nano in. Probably too strong to fold. Wouldn't be the end of the world to fold Bredo. King 10-0 folds, 22. I can see that being an open. I don't mind it. Like, you're probably folding King 9-0, right? So King 10 must be either mixed or like the bottom, so to speak. You're opening into a chip later, so. David Jones with 44 big lines. You need to defend here. If you're David Jones, you probably need to defend. The idea is, how wide are you opening? If you're opening about 30% of your range, you need to defend about probably 40%. So it's like probably 15%, 14%. If yeah, probably need to defend that one. There could be some other option like choices, but people should actually bluff a lot of offsuit king x and ace x. So you, whenever it's king high board, you actually won't be like, it wouldn't be the end of the world because you're gonna have a lot of king x dominated by the big blind. So I'm gonna assume it's some type of a defend there. I might be wrong. It might like to choose some other hands. So ace nine, you are covering the Linus over here. I think you want to play typically a little bit more like raising lines whenever you have like 10 big blind differences. Four-handed, as I said earlier, the ISM does go like the average risk premium does go slightly down. So it wouldn't be the end of the world to start introducing some limping range here and raise more if you have 50 dirty or like 45 dirty. A6-0, fold. I like that. King 7-0, fold. Like that. Everybody folds. Big stack has jacks. Everybody doing good decisions, huh? Well, how is this bro always have a good hand? You're chip leader, and he I would say like he plays very aggressive, but like he often actually has a good hand. I think it's very good, very like nice to see also, or like if you watch this replay, you actually see like, yeah, big stacks always bullies and stuff like that, but like you can actually see the guy actually very often has a good hand or like decent hand. It's not like he's like, sure, he been maybe a little bit out of line here or there, but like he does have a lot of good hands as well. So chooses to go check on the flop. 4x on the turn, sizes up. I don't mind sizing up. I like it. So the idea is you want to get money in. So if big blind has a 4 here, it does not matter. You're going to get stacked. Maybe not on like ace, you can somehow get away. But the idea is like if the other guy has a 4, you should be getting stacked with pocket kings there, right? So you kind of want to stack the guy when the guy has a queen, right? So that's why he sizes up. Ace is kind of like both kind of card that big blind can have a6, connects kind of with the big blind. I like the very small bet there. I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe could have arguably made a little bit bigger though. I think you get jammed though. Probably a little bit too thin. So David Jones with pocket kings at 40 big blinds. Ugh. Probably 3-betting. Seven big blinds. Definitely 3-betting if he chooses that type of a size. So whenever you size down, more you size down, the more you get to like more linear. You can go with your 3-bets there. Linus Slav should play a limp only strategy here with King Jack Go. King Jack Go, King Jack suited. The idea is when you are being covered under a shorter stack, you shouldn't really have a raising. Like you can have a raising range, but it's typically like under 10% raises. It's just play your strategy as a limp for the most part. So not a big fan of raise, even though it's fine. Like in equilibrium is fine. It raises to 3x, right? And he's getting called by 950. That seems out of line a little bit. It is 3x, but like seems like a little bit too wide of a call. Check on the flop. Linus could go for start bluffing here. You have a draw to the nuts. Or chip leader has bottom straight. Goes for value. Does Linus go for some raising here? I'm not sure you can continue by calling. I think like most logical feels like it just fold, but I wouldn't like hate the raise every now and then because you're gonna have a 10x, right? And you get to counter whenever in position player has 10x, so could be a play. It's probably some type of a mixed play if you go for it. A8-0 and A6-0 for a big one. Ooh, kind of tough spot for David Jones. It must be very close, and these spots often come down to like, what do you think your opponent is jamming? if he's jamming all the a6, you need to call a8 though, because big blind can have a calling range, right? So I don't hate the fault there. And it's very like specific. I often feel those spots are like you can't really look even in solver, because who cares what solver says? Solver has solver jamming range, right? Oh, Jack 10-0 jams. Seven's call. GG. We have our fourth place. The low one for 233,000 US dollars. Not bad. David Jones with 9, Queen O, Linus Love, Ace Jack O. Probably just ripping it. You're probably just ripping this one. Could be non all in as well, I guess, but like this feels so natural to just put on all in. The problem over here is if you have pocket eights, is if Linus is not jamming worse pairs, you're not that happy with the eights, but you probably have to run it. And GG Linus, she is. Somebody's running hot, hey? So GG Linus, 233k. Didn't I just say it for the last guy? Yeah, last guy got 168,000. Too high of the numbers, huh? So we are down to heads up. David Jones. Le Guenden, probably butchering it still. So let's see. This player is probably better at heads up than I am, but hey, maybe we'll like they have done like some questionable plays before, so let's see if we can catch something that's just like nonsense. I like typically whenever you see high stakes players play, they don't do nonsense. What they do is they do rather like lower frequency mixes, so to speak, and they end up on the lines that typically you don't see, because they just like understand the mixing of most hands on all the nodes. So sizing up, Queen 7-0, muck it. Don't have much to go over there. Battle of heads ups. Ace-8-0. Limp. Raise. Which one you want to do? Limp. What's interesting to me in these heads up matches, if I'm watching this, is do these guys are these guys going to split their ISO sizes and 3-bet sizes? Because if you learn heads up, you do actually see like it is like if you allow it, it does happen. It happens quite a lot actually. Okay, you see ISO call, sizing up. I think ace 8 is gonna go anywhere here. You have gut shot, you have ace high, you can still have the best hand. Interesting card, like if you're out of position player here, you're not loving the life. The 5 does hit David Jones, like not exactly like a bunch, but it does hit him. But you still need to run bluffs, right? I'm not sure you need to run it with 8-4 though. I might be wrong, because you're gonna have some like other 8x, like I know King 8, Queen 8, Queen 6. Like you're gonna have stuff like that to run bluffs with. So I'm not 100% sure exactly the selection. And you need to, on a 5, you definitely need to have a give up range or like checking range, because your bluffs did not improve. Is he going for it? They just did call with a gut shot. Damn, he just like checks down and wins, huh? Nice. So 55 beaks against 155, basically. I think at this step you play a lot of RF like opening, and your opening size should be 2.2, 2.5. I don't remember, but I do know it's not min raise at 50 big blinds effective. So we get the call. So once it's 3-bet bot in this type of spots, you're probably just like trying to get the money in with ace jack. So this is one of those spots. If in position player has an 8, it does not matter. The money will go in. Unless you can exploitatively start doing it, it's like, or like very weird runouts, It's just very hard. So we see a Dubit. That's nice. Not sure about the Dubit sizing. Kind of feels like you could go a little bit smaller. I don't think it matters too much though. Wow, these guys. My thinking was, yo, they're swinging it in the middle probably. Yada yada yada. Here we are. I was wrong. Very interesting. Click click click. Also, I think from David Jones, I would like to size up on the flop. Kind of feel like makes more sense. To be fair, it wouldn't shock me to see position player needs to sometimes jam it or continue there with Queen 10. So David Jones getting closer and closer to evening this stuff out, stacks out. So 2.5x, we see 3-bet. Tornado probably lets it go. I'm not a big fan of min raise though. It's just like, I think if I had to guess, you probably want to have a limping range, and you probably want to have like a 2.5x range. That's probably what I would most likely do, or just like play 2.2x. Like min raising, it's just like ugh. Just feels wrong. Just feels wrong. Not a heads up expert, so just like feels wrong to me. I have studied a little bit heads up and especially pre-flop. Been a while. Sometimes to take a look of that stuff. It's important to know. But in heads up, I imagine there are many profitable strategies you can choose, even that is not GTO. Now he goes 2.5x. Like, this is something I don't understand why you change your open sizes. Maybe he like clicked min raise and wanted to actually change it, so that's why. Well, we will find out, I imagine. So check check. I imagine it's going to go check check quite often here. I wouldn't mind a bet from imposition player here. I'm not expert, but don't you want to bet like 75%? I remember I studied some of the heads up with Parker, aka Donka, and we had like all the sims for heads up, and in like I got it from my friend who was heads up expert, and he used like 75% for the most part. It was very like simplified sim, so to speak. But maybe that spot where you want to bet half pot. Not sure. But I do believe at this stack depth, you're still going to see a limping ranges as well. So open, 3-bet, it's going to, Dave Jones not going to defend. Actually, I'm going to go to BBC Charts. I'm going to look it up. Yeah, what is this min raise 2.5x? I think we have it over here. I'm not a big fan of changing the sizes in general. It doesn't really matter what you're playing. I'm just not a big fan of that. Just play one size. So small bet size. David Jones has top pair. It's not going anywhere. Interesting turn. Third pair against top pair. Kind of feels like it's going to get checked down now often. Maybe David Jones can value bet here very small. And it goes check check. So quickly to show. There you go. This is 70 big blind heads up, 2.5x and limping strategies. And if you go for let's see what happens over here. So two bears on the river. He's 3-7. Question is the size here, right? What does he want to value bet? Does he probably have punish? Potting? I'm wow, some brace. You're not going to fold to bear, right? How big is the size? Not that big. Not too small either. Yeah, you're just calling. In the end, I'm gonna show the heads up range in the end. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's focus on the table. 80 big blinds deep. So as showed earlier, it's 2.5x Serify. And the limping strategy you should be using. There Jones with the flush draw. Bet, check, dun dun, small bet. I imagine there could be some check raising from out of position there. I'm not sure though. You do have backdoor flush draw, 1 over. I know. 2.5x, David Jones with jacks. There's definitely going to be a 3-bet over here. A6 just calls. 7-5-5. Probably just try to get all the money in, so to speak. About 1/3ish. 40%? Yeah, just let it, like, I think you need the spade over here there to continue. Also, a lot of your range will have yeah, I think it's fine. Can't defend all the a6 there. BBC Brieflop Charts and Trainer, the most effective way to train and improve your poker skills. Get yours now. Check for O, opens it up, then deuce, probably lets it go. Ace deuce. Open, jack 8, defend. Bottom pair for David Jones. A gotcha for Leguenden. The small bet. No chance. Yeah, check raise. Calling should also be fine. I think you always want to check raise this one. So probably just going to call here. We see some crazy plays, so maybe 3-bet. Nah, just a call. So 5 does not improve out of position player, and therefore he needs to have some type of give ups here. So Jack 8, you can barrel, you can give up, I think. I think it matters too much. The Jones let the bud bear go. King 5-0. Jack 8 suited. Ooh, is this a 3-bet at this step? Could be. Probably not. I'm not sure. Like Jack 10 suited, you probably want to 3-bet, right? Not 100% sure. Very small bet with King 5 on A6-6. And David Jones let it go. We're going to see another hand. These guys are very deep, like 10-5-0. Opens, defend. Another god shot. Another bottom bear. Are we going to repeat the previous line? Bet, raise. I think in over here it is more likely he's going to call because you want to have that like Nine of clubs or queen of clubs when you check raise more often. Interesting card for David Jones. I guess you don't turn your 5 into a bluff there. I'm shocked to see some type of a small bet over here from out of position. David Jones, like, on this line, it must be a huge bet here. Kind of smallish. I was thinking more like overbet. I think you want to overbet there. You do have a probably split sizes though. Ace 8 opens it up. Queen 5 defends. Ace 8 top pair, not flush draw. And David Jones just folds a gut shot, huh? King Jack. We're gonna see another open and probably a call. A middle pair for David Jones. Probably gonna see a small bet. I wouldn't mind the check though. Hard to let ace 9-0 go here, I feel. Ooh, turns a third pair. Once there is no check raise and you have a jack, especially if you have king jack, it's a good jack with a good kicker. Kind of feels like you want to keep barreling quite a bit on the turns. I don't mind the check, but it kind of feels like you are supposed to be barreling. Also, 9 improves your bluffs and stuff, so the frequency should go like rather on a higher side to keep barreling on the turns. This very small size, you need to raise here. There is like queen would not do it. Some stronger jack probably wouldn't do it unless there is some like traps. I like the raise. Could you maybe go bigger? Ace 9 seems feels like a top of the range over here to do it. He's definitely going to have some weaker jack X. Kind of feels like you're kind of indifferent there, but like you probably need to defend sometimes. You're blocking ace jack. Maybe things like ace jack, king jack barrels the turn, so it's you don't really block ace jack because it's not there. So check on the flop. David Jones turns us straight. But there is a flush possibility. It does size up. I don't think imposition goes anywhere here. You have a open ender plus a bottom pair. So on the river, it's now more of a question of the size. I think imposition player can have decent amount of flushes in his range still. So you are more likely to, yeah. I was going to say you're more likely maybe to be a little bit like capped with your size there. You definitely have flushes that you want to size up, but then again, it's heads up. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just like straights are way so strong heads up, right? So must be fine. It must be good sizing actually. I think I would have probably bet more like a pot or something around there. Yeah, now we can see Jack 9, so we did this 3-betting. Ooh, this feels like let's size up. About 15 big blind bet. I'm gonna assume he's incoming. I'm not sure I'm that big of a fan of this on this board to bet this small, because yeah, I'm not a big fan of that sizing. It might be I might be wrong. He might be right. Just kind of feels like you want to just size up. Does allow his opponent to defend and to pick up a third pair. Why don't you kind of barrel here? Like, I don't mind the check, but like, I don't know. This is starting to feel a little weird. Probably check back. Very small bet. That's interesting. Basically trying to, so to speak, block and check down the river. Doesn't really make sense either. If you have a 8 or 9, you kind of want to size bigger, I kind of feel here. Even though like these lines do bet very often to small as a position player, so I don't really hate it. Yeah, probably actually I have decent amount of like this size down as a mixed in. David Jones turns two pair. There are straights possible. A7 might actually be a handy one to turn into a bluff here. If you because you're going to have some then X. Like Jack is a very good card for your range. I kind of feel here. Wow, he goes for it. Is this it? Does David Jones find the call? Man, it's so tough. It's so tough if you David Jones there. I don't even really know. Are you going to find a call here? Wow, he does. Wow. What a goal. GG. GG's, guys. What a goal. Congrats, David Jones, for winning 450,000. And GG's Leguendandan for winning 325,000. And as I said earlier, we could quickly look at the heads up play at like 70 big blinds. As I mentioned, like there are a lot of these like different sizes of after limping happening in the heads up spots. Like it's very mixed strategies in general, and once the raise happen, we could see on the peak line it's just like one size kind of 4x. These were tested by us, and we just removed whatever didn't make sense to simplify the solutions. Anyways, you guys can check somewhere on the screen some other video to watch, and I'll see you there.